Hey, this is Joe, and guess what our next big project is going to be here? This actually is my wife's idea. She wanted to get an old school bus and convert it into a motorhome for vacation trips. So we picked up from the local school district a 24-foot International 3700 short bus. So we're going to start tearing things apart here and doing some conversion and restoration. Let me show you so far what we've done. We've pulled out all of the seats. We were just going to unbolt them, but a lot of the bolts that are bolted through the floor are covered up with the gas tank and various structural assemblies. So we had to take a grinder with a cutoff wheel and cut all the bolts off. Same thing with the seat belt mounts. A major pain to do, but we got them all out. And let me show you what else we've accomplished. We're starting to remove a lot of the school bus related items that at least in California where we are, you have to remove in order to operate the bus as a motorhome. So we're starting to disconnect stop signs and signal lights and such. Let me show you the inside of the bus. Here's the inside of the bus. We've removed all the seats, all the seat belts. We're starting to remove some of the padding around the just underneath the window ledges and things like that. And now we're going to start removing some of the aluminum stripping on the floor. Over to the right, we have a wheelchair hydraulic electric lift here. We're going to be removing that as well, and that's rather heavy. So I'm going to be unbolting that probably piece by piece, and then we'll be removing it. All the metal that I'm pulling out, we're going to take over to the recycling yard and try to get a little bit of money back by selling the scrap metal to the recycling yard. Here we have one of the reluctant workers who wanted to purchase this vehicle, but being a retired professor, we are not really in the mood to do mechanical labor here. So just to show you, I'm putting the slave labor to work here. Dear, what do you think of this bus project?
I'm an idea person. You need to do it.
Yes, but this was your idea, so I need you to be an assistant worker here.
Shut up. Come do the work.
Well, you heard it from the pit crew here. They're not too terribly interested, but they're going to learn how to work on a bus. As you saw in some of the sped up footage, we have removed the upper side panels where most of the wiring is located. Let me pan over, show you the other side. We've removed those side panels, and notice the blue tape hanging from some of the wires. I've taken blue tape and marked the lights and the speakers in several locations, and then that way when we go through and try to isolate the wiring harnesses, we can remove the unnecessary wires, such as the hydraulic electric wheelchair lift. We can remove all the side lights and speakers. There's also some locks on each of the doors, and as per the school district, they cannot operate the bus with those doors locked. So there's an interlock to the engine ignition, so you can't start the bus if any of the door locks are locked. So those are all wired, so we will remove those, come back to the fuse panel and try to determine if we can jumper those or if we can just remove those, so we can then start the bus without the locks in the open position. What we'll do is we still want to keep the locks, so we're going to clean those up, because when the bus is sitting, or if we're camping inside the bus, or we're not in the bus, we want to be able to lock the door so nobody can get in. So we'll clean up those locks or replace them with something a little nicer. Then that way we can remove all that interlock wiring. So the next step is sort of the cleanup, and I have to do some testing on the best way to remove the rivets. I want to pull the panels. As you notice, the insulation is really old and very thin. So I want to either drill out, grind off, or use an air hammer and shear off all of those rivets. I've tried drilling them out, and they're not aluminum rivets or aluminium, depending on where you're from. They are steel rivets, so to drill them all out is going to be a major pain. So what I'm hoping I can do is use the air chisel and just rip off the heads of those rivets very quickly, and then we can pull the sheet metal panels down from the roof. We can remove all of the insulation, and then we can do an inspection for leaks, because you want to make sure there's no leaks inside the bus. And we'll take a hose, put it up on the roof, close everything up and run it and find out what's leaking, because you want to patch all the leaks before you put any of your interior structures on, because if you put all that wood in and then you've determined some leaks, you're going to have to rip everything out. So you want to make sure that the bus is totally watertight on the outside before you do any of your building on the inside. So we're going to wrap it up for the day. Now we've been at it most of the day, and then tomorrow will be a new day. We'll clean up inside and determine what else we have to rip off before we start trying to remove the sheet metal on the ceiling and on the sides of the bus. Here we're looking at the metal sheet metal on the roof, and if you look really closely, you'll be able to see rows of rivets, and there's structural bulkheads underneath here. So what we're going to do, I found out the best way to do this, and I've tried drilling, I've tried grinding, and it's all a major pain. Get yourself a air hammer tool with a point chisel on the front, and then what you do is you go in and right in the center of the rivet, there's a little dimple. You can then take the air chisel, and then right in the center of the rivet you can knock out that little pin, and then you can come in with a sharpened flat chisel, and then you can knock off the heads of those rivets. Let me do a couple more to show you how it works. And as you can see, some of them pop through and some of them don't. The ones that don't, what we'll do is we either take a grinder, grind off the heads, and then come in with the pointy chisel and poke them through, poke the rivets through, or try to drill them out with a cobalt drill bit. Just to show you, what I'll do is I'll come back tomorrow. We're getting ready to wrap it up for the night. Come back tomorrow and I'll show you, using the flat bladed chisel that's been sharpened, how we knock the heads of those rivets off. So I think you get the idea. The first step is to punch the pins out of the rivet. The next step is to take the flat chisel and knock the heads off, and I'll show you how we're going to do some of those as well.